afternoon, everyone. I, Dr. Krupa Rao, Assistant Professor, School of Business, Aurora University, welcome you all on behalf of my entire team to the first technical session titled Marketing Strategies and Skills for Post-COVID World. The COVID-19 pandemic has created an unprecedented disruption in the way marketing is practiced within organizations. The industry and academia have a great responsibility to address this challenge by developing new skill sets among the students so that they are industry ready post COVID-19. To address and deliberate on these important issues, we are joined by eminent personalities from academia and industry. We are glad to have with us as session chair Dr. Falguni Vasavda. She is a professor and Area Chair Strategic Marketing in MICA, Ahmedabad. She is a double gold medalist with over 2 decades of teaching experience in the area of marketing and advertising. She has published in international journals and presented papers in national and international conferences and is involved in international joint research projects in the area of advertising. She is a frequently invited speaker reputed forums and events like TEDx. She is also a social media enthusiast and a fashion blogger. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Krupa.
We have with us as first panelist, Mr. Bharat Oswal, Head
Kripa ma'am.
Chief Happiness Officer,
Kripa ma'am.
CII, Yes, Pune.
You will have to wait. I think that there is some
with
Hello.
Yeah, we will have to wait a little bit because there is issue at Bharat sir end, so he's not able to join. So
Okay.
we'll have to wait for a minute.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So, sir, shall I introduce Mr. Kashyap Pandya?
Yeah, I think you can go ahead with the introduction, Dr. Krupa, of all the speakers, and then meanwhile they'll join. Yeah.
Okay. So, as the first panelist, we have with us Mr. Bharat Oswal, Head TEDx Pune, Chief Happiness Officer at Botry, CII Young Indians Pune, Yuva Chair. He is an expert with more than 15 years of brand management experience. He has worked across the country's largest and reputed companies in the diverse areas of engineering, automation, insurance, telecom, and logistics. He is a strong believer in the power of Imaginomics, experimentation, and kindness. We welcome you, sir. As a second panelist, we have with us Mr. Kashyap Pandya, founder of Syncoro Ventures Private Limited. He is an expert with more than 20 years of experience in providing brand and marketing strategy, business planning and growth strategy, business modeling and revenue planning to leading corporate clients in India and abroad, and also multiple ventures of Syncoro's startup portfolios. He is a planner by profession, a writer at heart, and an entrepreneur in spirit. We welcome you, sir. Now, I hand over the session to Dr. Falguni Vasavda, the session chair for the further technical proceedings. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Krupa. And I think in between, when I was thanking you, I think you were discussing the other speakers' bio. So thank you so much for introducing so well all the 3 panelists. And I must say that it's a pleasure to be here and on this wonderful rainy morning, keeping my fingers crossed that the rains should not disrupt our networks and our technologies, because today the new normal is one Zoom to the other Zoom, log in and log out, okay? And I think the normal phrases that we keep hearing around us are, oh, you are on mute, please unmute yourself. Oh, I can't see your video. Oh, there is a lag. Oh, there is a blur. So I think, yes, dear students and other people who are present here, who may be like my faculty peer groups, welcome to this session. So the whole idea of this session, and before I get into that, I think I must congratulate Aurora University and the entire team for organizing this beautiful 2-day event, because I think this emphasizes one fact very clearly, that pandemic or no pandemic, nothing is going to stop us. So this conference would have happened on your beautiful campus, right? Where we would have had the privilege to see your campus, eat pork, which is very famous of Surat, would have done some good shopping around Surat markets. But even if that was not happening and we are in a pandemic phase of social distancing and virtual living, I think it has not stopped your team from giving this conference to the students and opening up minds of young people and strengthening them to be ready for the job market and to make themselves extremely relevant for the changing times. So very happy to be here. Many congratulations to the entire organizing team. And I think Mr. Bharat Oswal has been able to join in because I do see his name on the screen. So very happy to have Mr. Kashyap Pandya and Mr. Bharat Oswal with me as my co-panelists. And just to give some idea about how the session will proceed is I will just give a 5 to 6 minute opening remark on the panel theme, right? And then I will hand it over to Mr. Bharat who has joined us and Mr. Kashyap also who has joined us, and we will look at their interpretations and their expert remarks on this. And then after both of them have spoken, I will again give a little bit of a closing remark and I want to show some examples of what I'm going to talk, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So I'm going to be very sensitive to the fact that we will keep at least 20 minutes for people to ask us questions, because that is, I think, the main meat of the panel presentation, right? So without further ado, let me share my screen with all of you. And maybe you can show me a thumbs up when you are able to see it, okay? Is it visible? Great. I see two participants raised hands. That means it's visible. Anybody from Oro can confirm whether the screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
It is visible.
Okay, great.
Yes,
These are some hygiene checks that we need to do today, and that is the new normal. So as you see, the focus of the discussion is going to be on marketing strategies and skills for the post-COVID world. In fact, Dr. Krupa very nicely introduced me. These are the 4 hats that I wear. And I do believe we live in a world of visual and video. So the retention will be higher if I give you a visual introduction to this professor sitting in front of you. So more than 20 years in teaching, absolutely passionate about teaching, never a single dull day or a dull moment. And teaching is becoming the most challenging sector to be in current times. I am a TEDx speaker, and all 3 or 4 of my TEDx talks are available on YouTube for you to check it out. A big believer of body positivity, internalizing happiness, gender equality, and empowering self. As a woman, how do you maintain your identity and how do you create a mark in this world as you march towards your fight on gender equality? I am also a social media enthusiast and a micro influencer on various platforms like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and the likes. So I am a fashion blogger as well. And if I build the context to this discussion, where it will be twofold. One is, of course, we will be looking at the marketing strategy part post-COVID and in a pandemic, how things are impacted at the brand and the client and the marketing level. But we are also going to, as 3 of us, I think, have more white hair than the students. We are also going to use some bit of our expertise and experience to tell you what all you should be ready with in a post-pandemic world, because you all will be looking for jobs, you will be wanting to settle in your careers. So we'll give you some bit of advice here and there. But of course, nothing is going to be tailor-made. We are going to speak in general. So you will have to look into where your skill sets are, and then you will have to customize it for your usage, right? I thought, let me start with this very relevant marketing example of where brands have started being very adapted to the change scenario of COVID. And you see how they changed their brand logos to stand for social distancing and safe distancing, wearing masks. So you see do you see a Starbucks logo with this green colored mask on the face of the brand icon, right? That's what they changed in the pandemic. That's what they changed in the Corona times. LinkedIn said logged in their logo. So it's LinkedIn, but it is saying logged in, right? In fact, Intel, which is Intel Inside, says stay inside. And these are brands which are doing real-time marketing by looking at the challenges that brands and marketing are facing in today's time. The famous Nike swoosh, just do it, says just don't do it. Don't go out on the roads to run. Don't go out and exercise. Do all that keeps you fit and healthy, but within your safe spaces and inside your homes. You see the famous MasterCard logo getting separated for the first time in the history. So you see a orange master and you see a yellow card, right? It's getting separated to make people more aware of social distancing or the healthy distances that you have to keep from people in order to not get affected by Corona, right? You see Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen as well. So I thought I'll quickly pull out some logos of brands that brilliantly built up their existence and their communication on social media, being very relevant to the changing times. Now, as a marketing professor, that brings me to the whole central thought process that all of us should understand, right? That marketing lives in a context. So what works in marketing is dependent on the context in which the brand or the company is, right? So let us say, for example, before 20 years, the context that brands and marketers were facing in India was very different than what they are facing now. So say, for example, when vacuum cleaners were launched or when washing machines were launched in our country before 20 years, it was very difficult for them to sell. Now it is very easy for them to sell because women have started working. So there are two people from the same house, both are working. So on an average, the time that they spend inside the house is decreasing, right? Also, on the other hand, disposable incomes are increasing because you have one more wage earner added in the family's income bracket. So times change, situations change. As we go from one year to the other, things around the brand and the consumer keep completely changing, and it is your marketing intelligence which continuously keeps giving you your happenings data, so that whatever you do in the phase of decision making, in terms of the strategies, in terms of marketing tasks and activities, they all are relevant and they all fit into the context in which you are living, right? So strategies and decisions are always led by contextual reality. So let us say in 2020, the contextual reality is the pandemic that we all are in. But let us say in 2015, it was the recession that the economy was passing through. So if there is a recession, for example, that is the contextual reality and brands will adapt, okay? Marketing strategies and decision makers will adapt their thought process as per the changing circumstances. So when we look at pandemic and the new normal, right, we all know that people have lost jobs. There have been people whose employment, policies have changed. So from full-time, people have gone to part-time, right? They're from a monthly labor, they've gone to a daily wage earners capacity. There have been a major impact on salaries and increments as bottom lines of companies have been impacted, their profit and losses have been impacted. So yes, salaries and increments have taken a dip, which directly leads to your purchasing power, right? So there's a direct link between what is your earning, what is your disposable income, and how much are you going to spend sector wise, category wise, and there are enough reports and databases which gives you a sectoral view of how consumers spend, right? Now it is definitely impacting the consumption cycles, but somewhere I think we all have started looking at life with a different orientation, isn't it, right? All of you just take 2 minutes and think through. The last 5 to 6 months have been very critical in terms of prioritizing our life, in terms of how we look at relationships, for example, how we look at family as a social construct, for example, how we look at home as a physical space, how we look at our extended family of cousins and relatives in our social spaces, right? So suddenly, I have this child who is in 3rd standard, who is doing entire schooling from home, doing the online mode. Now suddenly the child has become an individual in the house who is demanding his or her own space and resources and has a separate schedule. Otherwise, you were never so serious about the child and his identity within your homes, right? Suddenly there is a husband and a wife both working from home, both are pressurized for their works, both have stressful meetings and targets to achieve, and suddenly both are also getting involved in the household chores because suddenly the gender boundaries are blurring. So in the last 4 to 5 months, all of us in different capacities, in different degrees, have seen life from a new light. Suddenly our well-being is the center of our attention. Suddenly we are happy to spend on wellness and health and hygiene industries, right? Suddenly we have started looking at families with a very, very positive light. In fact, believe you me, and all of you will get a deja vu feeling when I'm saying this, that the number of celebrations, that is birthday, anniversaries, new birth, right? Or for example, Raksha Bandhan that we celebrated over Zoom, that we celebrated over e-meets, that we celebrated over using technology and FaceTime. The number is so high that I cannot recollect so many e-celebrations or even physical celebrations that I would have attended in my years pre-COVID, right? So yes, the context that we live in is definitely has undergone a drastic change, and it's not minute. So everybody, including the brand and marketers and you all students as future marketers and future decision makers, will definitely have to be sensitive about. So I think the first step to whatever we are going to do is going to be sensitizing yourself as to the realities have changed, our orientations have changed. So the skills that a brand needed to market itself in the market environment are getting renewed, right? Are getting questioned, or how marketers will sustain their bottom lines and continue earning profits, that is getting redefined. In the similar way, how will you create jobs for yourself? How will you become relevant in the job market as future MBA pass outs is also going to be different, because the contextual realities around us have completely changed. So with this contextual clarity, let me invite my co-panelist to the session. So Mr. Kashyap Pandya, can we start with you by hearing your thoughts on this topic? And warm welcome as a session chair, not from Oro University, but as a session chair. Delighted to welcome you for your thoughts. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Falguni ji. Thanks, Oro, for inviting me for this session. Friends, Falguni ji has given a very broader context of what has changed in this COVID world. And I think marketing as we know it has changed, and perhaps forever. Customers are behaving differently, markets are shrinking, categories are at risk, and money is tighter. And now this is quite puzzling for marketeers. And therefore we can say that the marketeers or the marketing professionals need a new playbook. I think this is very important. We need to look at marketing from a completely different perspective. Now, though the marketeers or marketing professionals, the core purpose of marketing remains the same, which is identifying and satisfying customer needs to make profit for the company. So the purpose has not changed. Also, there are few constants, and they will remain constants. For example, customer will remain emotional being. So their decision making is still going to be emotional. Customers will still seek value. So these are the constants that will remain as it is. But with these constants, there are few things that we need to relook. For example, current operating models of marketing. Typically, in the marketing world, we have been programmed for a traditional fixed budget campaigns, annual calendars, large scale campaigns. All these things are being replaced by so-called modern imperatives like, a real-time one-to-one marketing. So we need to adapt to these new marketing models. Moreover, I think very, very important, especially in the context of education institute and from the students and academics point of view, I think we may need to find new meanings in some of the popular marketing models, marketing theories and marketing practices that we've been taught in business schools. Simple example being, let's say, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Basic marketing principle that we teach all our students. Now, it is still very, very relevant. But during this pandemic, the safety needs of health and hygiene may now appear along with physiological needs, because today, to survive, to live, we need to be careful about health and hygiene. So we need health and hygiene and we need food and water. So I think physiological needs sits along with the safety needs. So this has changed. And I think this is happening to a lot of marketing models. Okay, the 4P of Kotler. Now, when we talk about digital marketing, P for personalization cannot be ignored. So I think broader principle will remain as it is, but we need to look at those principles from a completely new prism, the prism of the new normal or next normal. And it is too early even to, predict what will the next normal will be, what behaviors will change or it will stick to the consumers, what attitudes will permanently change, or what technologies will have firmly taken root in people's life. For example, will video conferencing like Zoom will replace some interactions in physical space? We don't know. And also, I think as Falguni ji has already mentioned, home. Now, I think this is a very, very interesting development. There's a big change that we have seen at our own home, which is kind of a new command center for all our activities. Home has become kind of a, multi-functional hub. Home is where people live, we learn, we shop, and we play. So for marketeers, this is a completely new scenario. And to reach out to these, customers, obviously they're using digital platforms, social media. It is very obvious. But at the same time, we also need to find innovative ways to engage our customers sitting at home. Can we engage them with those smart devices? How can you market or promote your product or services using Alexa or Google Home? Now, these are the new ways we need to find. How can you start two-way communication with people in their home without being intrusive? Now, these are the areas we need to look at very, very carefully. Also, I think the media mix across channels have completely changed. Outdoor has been replaced by digital platforms. So I think this is always going to be, very, very, it's going to happen, and there are new ways even to engage. For example, how do we include our product or services, integrate into video conferencing platforms in a virtual reality form, or even video games? So now we need to, as a marketer, we need to find innovative media mix also. And another very, very scary development for marketer is consumer behavior, which has changed drastically, and they are switching brands at unprecedented rates. I think this is kind of a death of brand loyalty that is being, faced by most of the marketeers. A recent survey in US, it says almost 75% of customers tried new brands during this pandemic, and almost 60 to 70% of them said that they will stick to those new brands. What has happened to brand loyalty? Okay, and I think Generation Z, so-called Generation Z, and the high earners are the people who are more prone to switching brands. So now we need to reevaluate our investment in long-term brand building versus short-term promotional activities to generate revenue. So I think this whole dynamics has drastically changed, and this is troubling for marketeers, because we have been in our own comfort zone with all these outdoor ATL, BTL activities, but now everything has drastically changed. So as they say, when you are in trouble, go back to basics. So what is the basic function of marketing? As I mentioned earlier, to address customers' needs. And how do we find out? Through customer insights. So I think, friends, customer insight is marketeer's superpower. I think this is very, very important, and it is very, very true more than ever right now. Reason being, marketeers now need to keep a real-time check on the pulse of customers. Gone are the days of those annual customer surveys. Okay, the traditional ways of getting customer insights through those surveys, which take 2 to 3 weeks, and then we collate and whatever. I think that is completely changed. We need to find ways. How do we track customer behavior, the changing customer behavior, probably on an hourly basis, which is still possible, and there are tools available. We as a marketer needs to adapt to those newer ways, which is very, very important to get the pulse of the customers. Also, marketers need to develop a customer level insights. Okay, we have been very, very generalistic in our approach as far as marketing is concerned. It's very easy to do a full page ad in Times of India. Okay, it's like carpet bombing. But now, marketeers, they don't have a luxury of those resources. The money is tight. The clients, the marketing guys are asking how I'm going to spend that 100 rupees. What is my marketing ROI? Now this term marketing ROI, which is completely neglected by all the agencies of the world, now they are faced by this term on a daily basis. So now the insights, even the insights that we gather, cannot be a generalized insight. It could be insights at a market level, maybe geographical level, industrial segment level, or even a city level. Again, in city, for example, in city like Bombay, now we need to understand or get insights on even the local geographical level, on a pin code level. What is 400049? What is Juhu? Because Juhu is very different in Kandivali. So I think we need to get those kind of insights, and most importantly, we need to gather insights on the individual customer level. Now, this requires different skill set, and most importantly, different mindset for marketeers. Also here, I think I would like to, borrow one concept from the startup world. Because, I'm also connected with the startup world in certain capacity. So I think in startup world, there's a very interesting and popular term called lean startups. I think marketeers now need to learn lean marketing, faster execution with minimum resources. Given the high degree of, uncertainty, the success broadly will depend on how effectively marketeers can test, learn, and adapt. So I think we need to understand, and we need to, bring those lean startup concept and integrate those concepts or adapt to this concept to the marketing activities, which is very, very important. And I think in this environment, even the advertising agencies, marketing communication agencies, they also need to change the way they have been functioning. Probably they need to create content or campaigns in days, not months. They are used to doing 5 to 10 campaigns for a brand in a year. Now probably they might have to do 100 campaigns for different target segment in different geographical areas. So this is how it has changed. So the question is, what kind of new skills that are required to survive in today's world? What we expect, or what skills the students, marketing professionals should have. Friends, David Packard, the founder of Hewlett Packard, co-founder, he once said that marketing is too important a function to be left with marketing department. I think, and this is very true, because marketing is transforming. Marketing is becoming more and more important, more tech-oriented, more integrated than ever with other departments. So what skills are required? Obviously, I am sure my other panelists are also going to talk about, importance of digital marketing, technology, analytics. So I'll not get into details of that. But I think this is the fundamental skill that almost all marketers need to learn now. You cannot escape from these basic skills. So I think, I'm sure others will elaborate on that, because I think leveraging technology for effective marketing is a must. We need to understand the concept of hybridization, where physical and digital channel blend together. I think this understanding every marketer need to develop. Very, very important. Second, as I mentioned earlier, consumer behavior. Friends, typically it has been observed even in the business schools, consumer behavior as a subject is considered a very, very boring subject. Now is a time that we need to, again go back to those behavioral science theories, understand them and correctly applied in the newer context. I think this is very, very important for each marketers to understand. Unless we get the right pulse of the customers, all our activities, be it digital or physical, are not going to give you effective result. And for that, we need to be more aware about behavioral science, how customer behave, how do we persuade those customers. Third and very, very important is the skill of faster decision making. Now, I would say this is a very generic skill, but still for marketers it's very important, because faster decision should also not be, we should also understand the impact of those decisions, and that impact should be looked at in a broader worldview. Now the world is so connected that what is happening in the other part of the world is affecting the consumer in tier 3 city in India, which was not the case earlier. So marketers were very, very comfortable. Now I think we need to develop a better worldview as a marketer. We need to, even closely look at social, political, environmental factors affecting customers. I think this is very, very important. So it's time that we kind of practice marketing in its truest sense. So this is very important for marketing students. And finally, what change or what things that a corporate or academia should adopt, to fit into this new context of post-COVID world. So firstly, I would like to say that, placement officers, because we are talking about, the conference is on the placement of. So I think placement officers, they need to redefine their role. In fact, instead of calling them placement officers, I would like to call them corporate relationship officers, because placement word is very transactional. Also, placement officers are normally seen only during placement times. But I think now the time has come that we need much more engagement throughout the year with the corporate world to prepare our students for this, to be adopted more and to become, make them more employable. So I think this, we need to build stronger relationship with the corporates. And I think it is already been happening, but the pace at which it is happening should be accelerated. Because I think in this pandemic, if you see, what has happened is acceleration. The digital transformation anyway was happening. But as Satya Nadella said, in last 10 years, what has happened? It has happened in 3 months. So I think similarly, academia is anyway slowly building bridges with corporate. But now I think that process has to be accelerated. Let's do more consulting assignments along with the corporate world. Not only professors doing consulting assignments, involve students. Maybe give them credit point for a real life consulting assignments. If professors are not getting enough time because of their academic commitments, get corporate professionals and then do consulting assignments, corporate projects. Also, ask students to take up those freelance projects, because friends, now everything is work from home. So now there are so many opportunities are there available on those social online platforms where you can work on real-time platforms. Encourage students to do those real-life projects rather than those academic copy-paste projects that they do and submit as a part of their academia. Encourage them to do that. So I think this is very important. It is happening, but let's accelerate that pace. Also, one very important thing that we need to do is interdisciplinary courses for students. I think the new education policy is already being, encouraging this, but again, we need to fasten the pace. We need to encourage liberal arts students to maybe take startup entrepreneurship course. We need to ask marketing students to take psychology or behavioral sciences course. I think this will broaden their thinking, a better worldview, which will broadly help them in their marketing activities. And finally, one just suggestion to the academic world. I think we have been anyway engaging with corporates. We are encouraging students to do, corporate projects, real-time projects. Another thing which again we can borrow from the startup world is mentoring. I think why can't we have mentors, industry professionals as mentors for students? If not for all students, maybe post-graduation, final year students, assign them mentors. Can we create as a university or an academic institute a kind of a mentor network? So based on my likes or interest, I can connect with those mentors. They may give maybe 1 or 2 hours a month, but I think that learning that they will get, will be immense. Because, when we meet students, when they interview for a job, we realize that they are so disconnected with the real world. I think that, occasional monthly 1 hour discussion with the mentor, maybe over a Zoom, will completely change the worldview. Because I think this is very, very important to, actually to learn. We need to step out of the university, because the real learning is going to happen there. Because, as one Shair very famously said, कि वो किताबों में था ही नहीं जो सिखाया सबक जिंदगी ने. So I think we need to learn more. The learnings will come from real life experiences. Students will be well prepared if they are better exposed to the corporate world, and we need to work in those directions. Thank you very much. Over to you, Falguni ji.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful way in which you have put up. In fact, some of the key takeaways would be rethinking some models of marketing, rethinking some theories. I think also you pointed out on a very, very good area where academics can take help from is the blurring of boundaries between industry and academia. So through various measures, these boundaries can blur through live projects, the mentoring that Kashyap ji talked about, right? Or working together, bringing in more industry people in the classes. And today, I think, I'm a very positive person. So I see optimism in any situation. So today's online learning and social distancing means anybody from any part of the world can be invited into my classes, right? So we can bring in more and more people from agencies, data scientists, analysts, researchers who will come and re-question, or challenge our existing norms. But at the end, as you rightly said, that when things go berserk, you need to go back to basics. So that's very right. So while these advanced level learnings will be required by students, but there'll be an industry who will always keep looking for people with conceptual clarity, right? So even though life is happening outside the books are going to be equally important. So your academic ratings, your gradings, your CGPAs are going to rock the boat ever, because they are going to rock more than what they would rock, Pele before the pandemic. So be very clear that while you are learning from books, you are also understanding the application of it in a scenario which is completely changed. So thank you so much. It was very, very nice hearing about all these different areas that you talked about. So maybe now I'll move over to my another co-panelist. And if my memory serves right, I think I have met Mr. Bharat Oswal in Pune a decade back. But if my memory serves right, so I will wait for him to confirm. You're on mute, sir. So, yes, now you can speak.
Yeah, so we met almost 5 years back, not a decade back.
Okay. Okay, so I think that was in Pune that I have met him, and now I'm meeting him virtually here in this seminar. So over to you, Bharat ji, and maybe we would love to hear your views on marketing strategies and also skills required in the pandemic and the post-pandemic era for the students. Over to you.
So thank you, Falguni, thank you, Kashyap sir. I got to know many things. Maslow's hierarchy, new hierarchy of needs, you can say that, and probably newer and newer concepts which are coming in. So as you correctly pointed out that we are now shifting towards more like a phygital world. So now since we are shifting into a phygital world, the skill sets required are way different than what you can think of. So right now today you will find corporates are looking more for adaptability and flexibility. They are not looking for people who are in their comfort zone anymore. Because what has happened in the past before COVID, people were in their comfort zone. Digital, probably what people understand, digital is way different than what people think of. Digital has now become important for each and every stream, whether it is marketing, whether it is finance, whether it is HR, whether it is operations. Because today, application goes to a different extent altogether. People think so, people usually have that confusion that when it comes to digital, it is only related to marketing or it is only about social media. But digital is way beyond it. Digital has proven that today everything is possible. Probably if you're sitting at home, you can still do business. If you're in office, you can still do business. If you are probably even traveling, you can still do business, right? Today meetings are happening online through Zoom, through Teams. People have developed products in a shorter span of time. So if you see the kind of changes which have happened in the last 5 months, it has been very, very drastic. But the most important aspect which I've seen over a period of time, people shifting from Facebook, Instagram to LinkedIn a lot. People are using those platforms a lot. Corporates are using those platforms a lot. They've started realizing the importance of personalization. They've started realizing that today why understanding the customer is very important. Initially, what used to happen with customer is we used to collect the data, and through that data, that SMS you used to receive, either an SMS or an email. It is no longer an SMS marketing or an email marketing anymore. You have to change the way you think. As you correctly pointed out, customer insights, customer behavior is becoming way too important to probably promote any brand or product. B2B companies initially were dependent on exhibitions to promote their product. Now they are coming up with virtual expo. Why? Because if I have to reach my customer, how do I reach my customer? Initially, if you see, B2B companies never had a website. Right now they have started realizing I need to have a website, I need to have an official email ID. Like if you see most of the companies, particularly the MSMEs, 80% of the companies are still operating with a Gmail ID or a Hotmail ID. Now if you see, there is a sudden transition. So initially it was the second generation and third generation who was taking care. Now the older generation is showing interest that, okay, we need to automate. So automation is going to play a very, very important role. And because of this automation, the advantage is you are no longer a bottleneck. So if you see why is automation playing an important role, because initially the owner used to take care of everything, right? From recruitment to admin to operations to everything. Now because of the lean model, because of automation, things have become much more easier. Whether it is an ERP, whether it is a CRM, whether it is using a SaaS model also. So if you see, corporates have started realizing that at a lesser cost, I can be more efficient. My performance can be measured. Initially, performance measuring was a bigger challenge for lots of organizations because they were working in silos. So if you see, if the organization is having 1,000 odd people or 10,000 odd people, it is very difficult to measure the performance of the person. But today, because of automation and digitization, it is much more easier. The challenge which I see today with students is people are just running behind certificates. They are going to Coursera, they are going to Udemy, they're just doing certificate after certificate. But when it comes to application, it is zero, right? Colleges have been forced to do that because they don't have any other option. Unfortunately, if you see, even the teaching skills need to change a lot. Because the way we used to teach, it can no longer work. So initially it was Blackboard, then it went to presentation. Now, if you're sitting on Zoom for 8 hours, it is very, very difficult not even to teach, but also to listen to something. So that interactivity factor is going to play a very, very important role. There would be lots of gamification which is going to come into picture. Like since employees are working from home, now we see that organizations are looking for ways how they can engage the employees because all are working from home. How do I keep the morale up? How do I keep the motivation up? Because initially what used to happen with organization, that probably they used to celebrate, probably have a cake, go out. Now going out is out of question, right? You can't party anymore. So how do I basically interact? How do I communicate? So the marketers now have more responsibility that how do I come up with innovative ways? So I have to again go back to probably 10 years back where people used to use pencil and pen. They'll have to start thinking. Everything is not there on Google. People think so that everything there is there on Google. But they need to understand, you need to apply your mind. You need to read. You need to implement. You need to apply. And application is a very big problem, right? Today, because of the digitization, you find people, you can interact, you can even measure. And because of that measure, there is a feedback system which is there in the place. So if you see, the communication has moved from your phone to your emails to your WhatsApp, right? And today business deals are happening on WhatsApp. You will find organizations sending invoices on WhatsApp, you're receiving payment on WhatsApp, right? Customer experiences are shifting from phones to WhatsApp. So if we recently see Tata Sky, SBI, lots of brands have started realizing that why do I need to spend that much amount of money on my customer care if I can shift the whole experience to WhatsApp, right? Newer and newer tools are getting developed because people started realizing I need to have a frictionless customer experience. If you initially see when you had to have a SIM card or any of your phone, if you had to complain, you have to wait for 10 minutes. Now you don't need to wait because you directly go online, you have a chat, you have a problem, you go on to Twitter account, put it there. So if you see, the problems get resolved in a much faster way. So people have started realizing this is possible, whether it is a B2B company, whether it is a B2C company, because people only think it's only possible only with B2C companies, but that is not the case. Today B2B companies have started realizing that why content is playing a very, very important. So typically what used to happen is why people only used to talk about the products and services. They are no longer talking about products and services. They are talking about solutions. They are talking about benefits. They are talking about things which can actually make their life better. And this is how things have changed with brands. So if you see in the last 3 months, real estate has actually used to a greater extent digital on a much better way. And they have been effective also. By sitting at home, they've come up with virtual tours. They've come up with not all things which you can think of. That means you can also sell a real estate product sitting here. There is an organization sitting in Singapore selling products which are selling in US to people which are there in India. So everything is possible if you actually apply things. Understanding, I think so. This is where most of the people have a problem. Observation, I think so, is going to play a very, very important role. So the basics will always remain the same. Whether I'm observing, whether I'm understanding, whether I can comprehend and build a particular thing or not. Because initially what used to happen is SWOT was always copied. I go on to Google, I copy the SWOT, I copy the pest analysis, I copy the game theory, and I'm doing a presentation. Now you can no longer copy your things, because if you start copying, people know from where you have copied, because everybody is now an expert in copying. So you can no longer copy things. You need to come up with new things. You will find lots of business models getting evolved. You will see lots of things getting added into your marketing books, where you'll see sales funnel coming in, lead magnet coming in, marketing funnels coming in, because this is where the things are going to be. Silo is something which people have a problem, I think. So people have been working in silos since a long time. That silo is broken. Today you have to be a people's person, whether it's marketing, whether it's finance, whether it is HR, whether it is ops. You can't say, this is finance, I'm not going to do the HR work. Or this is HR, I can't do the marketing work. So a marketing person at the same time needs to understand how does the financing work? How is the market behaving? How are people responding? Because I think so most of the customer insights comes from observation, which we have lost. People think so just because digitization have come into picture, I don't need to observe. Everything is there on Google and the reports. But I think so whether you can really understand and comprehend is very important. People do Google Analytics class, people do SEO class, but whether an organization needs it is a big question. People don't really answer. People don't question. And the art of questioning has to come back again. If you have to evolve, if you don't start questioning, things can't work. And today if you see, if you're working on a market research, they will actually have some hypothesis and based on that do some presentation. But at the end of the day, what organizations are looking for, whether I can frame the right questions. Because today your strategies are based on what questions you ask. If your framing is correct, I think so your questions are answered. But if the framing is wrong, this is where the problem lies. So this is where I see there's a drastic change, not only with organization, but also with individuals. You will see lots of people working in gig economy. You will see probably housewives working in a lot. You will find people who are there probably in their villages, working for 4 hours, but doing quality work. I think so the next whole era is going to be more on quality work and not on quantity work. It is no longer going to be that, okay, you do quantity work and you're going to survive. You will have to do quality work if you have to survive, because your job is at stake. And if your job is at stake, you will have to start thinking a lot. So this is what I think. This is how the changes is going to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very, very pertinent issues again raised by Bharat Oswal. So I think some of the things which you said are gold, and I think there should be a reality whether pandemic or no pandemic, right? So the ability to frame the right questions, the ability to apply your knowledge, the ability to observe things around and how things are changing, the ability to cross-fit across disciplines and not live in silos. But what is the advantage that this pandemic has brought in? The advantage is that now we are going to have a speedier transformation for all these areas, because somewhere it is the survival instinct that is going to guide us through. That is going to take us from darkness to light, right? If I can be a little philosophical in saying that, right? So that is going to show us the path, because suddenly you are talking about a B2B brand who never believed in LinkedIn or content or thought कि ये सब तो FMCG B2C के लिए है. Suddenly they are looking at LinkedIn and writing white papers today. Their CEOs are publishing opinion pieces. Now, why are they doing this? To survive, right? In fact, yesterday I had a very interesting observation. I was seeing somebody's Instagram post, and that's how I came across this. Google has introduced virtual business card network, right? So today you can go to Google and create your profile, because suppose if anybody is searching Dr. Monica Suri, then some random search things will come up, like Oro University affiliation, something you have posted on Facebook will come up, somebody's birthday wish you have done will come up. Now you don't want that to come up, because you want people to know who you are as a professional. So you are creating your virtual business card on Google. So now all these things, right, or the voice search that Kashyap talked about, the voice search is going to increase because more and more people are at home and are using voice enabled devices. So many areas where we are seeing positive transformations, because there is no other way, there is no other option. So today MBA students who were let us say prioritizing placements over everything else will have to prioritize being entrepreneurial over anything else. If not an entrepreneur, but entrepreneurial, where you will have to, as Bharat mentioned, you will have to step out of your comfort zone. You will have to go out of your, silo of your discipline, of your specialization created, and somewhere you will have to be a specialist, but at some other place you will also have to be a generalist, right? So taking both these insights from these two eminent speakers, I will again share my screen, because now I'll close it before we go in for Q&A. So let me show you a few more thoughts that I have in sync with, of course, and I will not repeat what is already being talked about. So there are various reports generated by Accenture, AC Nielsen, right, IMRB, and they are publicly available. So some of the research findings say that going forward, right, what we are going to see more is people are going to be vocal for local. So there will be a huge growth in indigenous brands, in regional brands. So you will be more positively thinking as a consumer about the well-being of people who are locally and regionally connected with you. So vocal for local. Also, it's a government drive, as we all know, but local products are going to see a huge positive upbeat. There is going to be total digital transformation, digital payments, digitization, and Internet of Things. Like, I know for sure of so many small scale kirana stores and gru udyogs, as we call it, home based udyogs in Ahmedabad, who overnight have now an e-commerce portal. Overnight they have created a website. Overnight they are selling online, they are taking payments online, and there is a no contact delivery of their products and services. Now just imagine, it would have taken a consultant some 5 years to convince them to go digital or to go online. This has happened overnight, because always remember, survivor's instinct will make you ride through a crisis. So you may not know swimming, but if you are into the water and you are going to drown, you will at least try using your hand and legs and some movement to go out of the deep zone. So I think that's what is helping us to understand marketing and revolution further. I will. Sachet revolution is not new to India and to us. So as Kashyap said that we will have to relook at certain marketing models, right? You will see many brands offering different SKUs, different versions of acceptable to the consumer pricing kind of products. So instead of 5 liters, you will see it getting broken down into some 10 SKUs, stock keeping units, because it is more adaptable to the market and the purchasing powers. In fact, supply chains are getting questioned, and the way in which inventories were handled, the way in which working capital investment would happen, the way in which stock keeping was happening, that is being redefined. Now, let me give you one example. So today, again, I'll use Instagram and Facebook. On these two social mediums, there are tons of weavers and artisans who have directly started connecting with consumers. Till date, they never were connecting. They did not have a platform to connect. Neither they thought they had the ability to connect. So they were selling it through vendors. So there were entrepreneurs who were buying from the artisans, and they were adding a margin, and they were selling to the end user like you and me. Today, this middleman has somewhere gone for quite a few sectors, because for them, again, survivor's instinct of selling whatever inventory that they have created or alternate inventories that they have created, right? And then for the consumer, huge benefit of price margins, huge benefit of saving, right? Because you are getting it at the weaver's manufacturing cost. So supply chains somewhere are getting questioned because of this. Companies will have to relook at it. So as students of marketing and finance and HR and manufacturing and operations, you should keep looking at how are companies relooking at their supply chains. How are they prioritizing the customer spending? So for example, do you think a company like Asian Paints is in danger? Because till 2 years from now, nobody is going to take the risk of calling those people home. They will do whitewash of your wall. They will do gisa patti on your wall. They'll repaint your wall. You don't want so many people in the house. You will stay with, ganda sa color, your wall needs repainting, but you don't want to take the risk. So Asian Paints has already started massively manufacturing sanitizers. They are into home sanitization services. They are soon going to announce. Urban Clap has a room sanitization facility for people who are home quarantined. So relook, constantly keep observing, because see, it is very unfair if you expect that only your professors will come and tell you this, because in a pandemic, everybody is under stress, okay? Not only you. Even your faculty is under stress. Even your work from home boundaries are blurring between household work and the classes that I have to take. So there are the onus has shifted from being a teacher-led learning to becoming a teacher-student-led learning. So the MOOCs, for example, right? Today you want to know what is artificial intelligence that so many people are talking about. Search for MOOCs, massive open online courses. Sign up for these online courses, right? They are always free, and only for certification you need to pay. So build up on relevant skills, because no longer teaching and learning is only faculty led. So companies will prioritize a lot as far as their spending is concerned. But the 3 R's that are required for marketers and for students from the placement perspective is respond, reset, and renew. So you respond to the marketing changes or the environmental changes by firstly accepting that you are in a very different time and it's a difficult time for you to survive. So respond to the changes, right? Reset yourself as a student. Think of what skills you need to add, and I'm coming to that in my last slide about what skills you need to add. So reset button we all know, but we would only restart our laptop and smartphones. Somewhere our own smartphone, which is our mental hardware and our emotional hardware, needs to be reset, okay? And renew yourself, making you more marketable to the job market, to the world outside. How brands and marketing strategies, how they are doing it? They are responding firstly by saying that yes, it is a different time. So how you were using WhatsApp before pandemic and how you are using WhatsApp now is different. Asian Paints is saying, yes, we will relook at our product portfolio, right? a Disney Hotstar is saying we need more content in the next 6 months because more people are going to watch OTTs because theaters have not opened. Their entertainment quota is coming from us. So suddenly there will be a rush to produce, distribute more content and more relevant content. They'll become vigilant. They will reset themselves by seeing which content is working, which content is not working, right? So yesterday on one of the OTTs, there was this world premiere launch of Gunjan Saxena movie. Before a few days, Shakuntala Devi was launched. Now between the two, they will definitely do a quick market analysis of how many people viewed it the first day, first show, how many people viewed it in the first weekend, how many people downloaded and saved it for later viewing. Because today, look at the positives. Again, reminding you, I'm a very, very optimistic person. So I'm not here to scare the shit out of you. I'm here to give you more energy and enthusiasm to the world that you're going in. So look at how digital and data is coming to help of you. Digital and data always was there to help you. But as I'm saying, it is thanks to the crisis that it is speeding up the whole process of digital transformation and understanding how important it is for me to go digital savvy, to be social media savvy, to have a personal brand on every social media platform as a marketer, right? So suddenly you're realizing and resetting yourself because there is no option but to renew yourself. Now, last slide is for the students especially, and maybe for the placement officers to emphasize on. So our curriculum of any MBA prepares students for becoming managers, and we fail to make them entrepreneurs, right? So, but what is the positive note here? Every MBA school has student run activities and committees, right? Add a little more rigor to it. Ask them to document the process. Bring in more entrepreneurs in class to talk to them. Make them work with entrepreneurs, as Kashyap ji mentioned, on live cases. Create mentors. Prepare them. I'm not saying everybody will have to do a startup. No. Everybody cannot be channelized because there are skill sets which are required. But everybody can be entrepreneurial in their workspaces. So I may be professor at MICA, so I'm doing a job. But within my job, I innovate, I renew, I refresh, I bring in new pedagogies. That is being entrepreneurial, right? So there's a huge need for students to understand the difference between working on command-based job existence versus taking initiatives and renewing the job and giving more value to the organization. So that is entrepreneurial, right? Keep a tab on digital and data. If you don't understand, please enroll for online courses. Do it as an additional, but the world is looking forward to new talent to bring in the required know-how, especially family-run businesses which are old and established. They lack this understanding. So they are looking at the newer generation for this knowledge. So how digital works, how SEO, SEM works, for example, how big data mining is done, what is Python as a software, and why do I need it to track consumer data or consumer sentiments? What is social media listening? How does this software help me in listening to what people are conversing about my brands? Companies would love if you know all this, right? So digital and data. Also very important now to take social media seriously. Remember, social media is going to be your personal billboard. Now I'm talking from the personal branding space. What you are going to write on LinkedIn, what you are going to write on Facebook, what you are going to write on Twitter, what you are going to write on Instagram, everything suddenly matters because this is your private billboard. It is on you how you are going to paint it. It is on you how you are going to create your value proposition. So understand social media, understand platforms. What do I mean when I say understand? That if you are posting 10 photographs on Instagram, the same cannot be copy pasted on Twitter because that is not a photo sharing app. That is an opinionated app, right? So you have to give your opinions on current happenings, right? Let us say Black Lives Matter, you are writing on Black Lives Matter. Yesterday, somebody passed away after a panel discussion, the political leader who had a heart attack. So also social media should keep you in sync with whatever is happening around you. 360 degrees. Okay, so keep your radars open, keep your antennas open, and use social media to your advantage. Do a lot of networking, and if the faculty of Oro University will permit me to say this, our students are extremely media shy, in the sense that they don't do networking. So like right now, if I ask somebody to come on camera and ask me a question, they will not do that. But after the session, they'll connect with me on Gmail and ask a question. So please use social media to do a lot of networking on your own. Don't be dependent only on the university to help you get a job or get placements. So on your own also do efforts. Lot of academic knowledge and research knowledge will be required in terms of understanding the culture, because as I said, gender roles are changing, role reversals are happening, right? Work from home is creating identity issues across age groups. So understand the culture that you are going to be in. And most importantly, I think Kashyap also mentioned, Bharat also mentioned about consumer insights. And this was never out of fashion in marketing. Let me tell you that understanding consumer and understanding insights into their behavior as to how they are going to change. So for example, a beauty company like, let us say, L'Oreal is already focusing its resources on eye makeup, because my mask is going to hide my lipstick, right? Because I'm not going to be showing the lipstick, right? The sales of lipsticks has already dipped, right? What do footwear industry do? They are already going into scientific, arthritis related footwear, acupressure related footwear, which you will wear more inside the house, because outside the house, the activity is reduced. So you have to keep a tab on how the consumer is thinking, behaving, deciding what are the factors that are influencing the consumers as far as taking decisions is concerned. Now, before we take the Q&A, I think I've spoken enough and people have got some hints from all three of us as to how the marketing sphere has changed, how strategies have changed, and how you need to change yourself in the process of respond, renew, and reboot, right? Let me, as an advertising professor, show you some examples of brands who have used this lockdown to communicate themselves better, because they were not selling. So they cannot put an ad saying, buy us, come and try us, because people were not buying. Instead, what are they saying in their communication? That's a good way to understand how brands have responded, rebooted, and renewed themselves. So let me show some examples, and then of course we will take your questions. Okay. So Monica ma'am, can I request you to tell me once the video plays, whether the audio video is...
Sure. Yeah, please.
Oh. Okay, the first is editing Marvel. It's a Nike ad that I'm playing.
Yeah.
We're never alone.
Is it
And
clear?
that is our strength. Because when we're doubted, we'll play as one. When we're held back, we'll go farther and harder. If we're not taken seriously, we'll prove that wrong. And if we don't fit the sport, we'll change the sport. We know things won't always go our way.
And the world's sporting events are postponed or cancelled.
But whatever it is, we'll find a way. And when things aren't fair, we'll come together for change.
We have a responsibility
To make this world a better place. And no matter how bad it gets, we will always come back stronger. Because nothing can stop what we can do together.
You can't stop sport from from You Can't Stop Us. Okay, it's Nike talking about the corona times and sporting events getting cancelled. Second example, Disney Hotstar.
Rajveer, stop doing this. How many times have I told you? Yeah, so I think that's Stop it.
Relax, kid. Disney Plus Hotstar Premium is here. Now your kids will have their favorites to keep them entertained.
I promise, I'll walk in every day. If he makes a little mess, I'll clean it up.
Parents, relax. We got this.
So by saying it's kids safe and giving kids entertainment options, it is creating lesser headache for those parents who have work. Okay. So the third is a beautiful ad on World Menstruation Day by Stay Free. Just take it.
मेरे पीरियड शुरू हो गए हैं।
पहली बार हो रहे हैं मुझे, तो काफी अजीब लग रहा है।
पीरियड्स में मुझे आसान काम भी मुश्किल लगता है, बहुत दर्द होता है।
मैं किसी के पास बैठ भी नहीं सकती और जब मैं उठती हूँ बार बार निशान चेक करती हूँ।
घर में एक ही वॉशरूम है तो पैड चेंज करने में मुझे शर्म आती है।
मुझे पैड को कचरे में छुपाना पड़ता है हर बार।
She may not understand what she's going through. She just needs to know you do. Over 2 million girls will get their first period in lockdown. Your daughter or sister could be one of them. Talk to her. Tell her.
It's normal. It's just a period.
I'm getting goosebumps as I stop this because there is so much of a need to normalize conversations around menstruation and look at their insight. They are not telling you buy more stay-free napkins or we are going to promise you stain-free period, but they are on the average saying their finding says that 2 million girls will get their first period in the lockdown. Imagine a house in Mumbai Chawl which is one room which has kitchen, everything in it, shared bathrooms with 50 other people, and there's a girl who's getting her first period. So they're talking about those realities of life, and hence it connects. I'll show one last and then we'll open it for Q&A. Beautiful film made by a beautiful filmmaker, Gauri Shinde, who made English to English, if you can recall. So this is how renewed the purpose of WhatsApp is between a patient and a nurse, and a senior citizen, dependent on the nurse, now living alone because lockdown restrictions, society not allowing nurses in the households, and the nurse taking a step ahead, giving all instructions, curtains kholne hain, you have to take sunlight, you have to spend time drawing karke mujhe photo bhejna. So everything happening through WhatsApp. So brands have proven to be a lot agile and real time, and they've been able to, renew, reboot and refresh themselves. Similarly, I think that's how we all will have to look at life, and how some of us have also renewed ourselves because suddenly things which we were teaching in classroom have gone online, and how do you make sense in the new ecosystem that we all are operating in, right? But we all find our way, and because this conference happened, it proves that nothing stops us ever in any adverse situation. So ending it on a high note, okay, that nothing will stop people, because human beings are very flexible. They are more flexible than we know them to be. Okay, so let's open it up for a Q&A, and all, I think I can request Mr. Kashyap and Mr. Bharat to switch on your cameras if possible for the Q&A. Yes, so I'm seeing it from the Q&A tab. We have a question from Rajiv Gupta. How customer relationship can be managed during current scenario as a marketing professional? Anybody can pick up. Who wants to go first? How customer relationship can be managed during current scenario?
So yeah, so I think this is a very, very relevant question, because I think in my talk also I mentioned that brand loyalty is being questioned and challenged. Right? It's very important to, forget about acquiring new customers. How do we keep relationship intact with our existing customers, which is very, very important in today's time, because acquiring new customer is a huge cost. So I think there can be different strategies, but if we simplify things, I think there are 2-3 things which are very, very important. One is we need to now humanize the company. I think this is very, very important in today's time. What this pandemic has done is, it has, bring certain emotions out. And for that, now we need more personal connect, because I think we are sitting at home, disconnected from the world. So whatever interaction we have with the world, we now want kind of a human touch. So I think company needs to be very, very careful about how do they humanize each and every customer touch points.
Correct.
I think this is one very, very important thing. Here, they can definitely leverage technology. For example, most of the companies now using AI-driven chatbots and other technology tools. But again, those chatbots should also, reflect those right human emotions to engage them. So this is one very important thing. Also, at the same time, I think we also, as a company, we need to understand that we also need to revolutionize the offerings. So I think this is also very important, because their preferences have changed. So I think keeping the pulse of those customers and then tweaking and changing their offerings. And as Falguni ji also mentioned, that a lot of companies are already doing it. They are introducing newer SKUs, newer product offering, introducing newer categories. So I think that is very, very important. Unless you get a pulse of the market, what they want, even before they know they want it, we need to offer them. I think we need to be more proactive as a company to understand and cater to the customer's need. Then only we'll be able to keep relationship with our existing customers.
Great. So I think more humanized, more use of technology, understand customer touch points, and use technology to your advantage. Like the chatbots can do the FAQ part, and then they come to you only for the more serious part where your intervention is needed. Great. So I will take another question, and I'll ask Mr. Bharat to respond so that we have more questions in less time. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So, and Bharat, see if you are comfortable to answer this. Otherwise, anybody of us can take it. The question is, how is creative writing or translation skills helpful in marketing?
So, I come from an advertising background. So
yes, of course. Please go ahead.
Creative writing has always been important before also, but I think so today every category will have to do it. So it can't be that only B2C will be doing it, only also B2B will have to do it. The art of storytelling will again come back because that's how, if you see the ads which have shown, storytelling which can showcase the power of a brand. So the translation services, because you'll find lots of brands getting into the rural market a lot. So your local language is going to play a very, very important role. The technology overall will have to evolve for multi-language. It can no longer be focusing only on one or two languages. You probably will find Hindi, you'll find Marathi, you'll find Gujarati. This will play a very, very important role. Content today will no longer, it's going to be about content writing. It's all about understanding the customer and based on that, focusing on that and writing according to what is required. Because today what is happening is localization. So when you say vocal for local, there is lots of localization which will take place, not only in terms of language, but also in terms of customer understanding and probably in the time how customers think. So this is how things are going to be, and I think you will find lots of opportunities opening up for these kind of domains. You will find probably lots of brands also coming up with their own product services catering to that localized language.
Right. Great. Thank you so much. This third question maybe I'll take from Dr. Pradeep Desai. His question is: future would be more for online buying than how customer would be getting exact feel of the product. Most Indians want to see the product, feel it, bargain, and then only buy. So, Dr. Pradeep, in fact, in many categories, this has already been challenged even the pre-COVID times. Otherwise, a brand like Lenskart would have failed and would already be out of the market. So if you look at how Indian consumers have been traditionally buying spectacles, for example, right? We want to feel it on our face. We want to see how the frame looks. We want to get opinion of our friends, but they have successfully used technology and artificial intelligence and virtual realities to make you give you the same experience on their website. Similarly, look at how the Mintras of the world are rocking the boat, or how many people buy today apparels online, because unless and until I touch this kalamkari sari in the store before 20 years, I would not have bought it. Now this same kalamkari sari with proper descriptions and Zoom facilities into it, right? I am buying it over Instagram. There are people who are social selling it, not even Amazon kind of e-commerce portals that we are talking about. But India being a very diverse country, the two parallels will coexist. The two polar extreme opposites will coexist. There will always be an audience who will be buying online, irrespective of the category. And there will always be an audience who will still feel very comfortable buying offline. So it will coexist as currently the market is coexisting. But more and more people will start seeing the the advantages or the benefits of buying online in the years to come. As of now, the rush to online is temporary because everybody is buying online, whether it is socioeconomic class A, B, C, metro city, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, because it is a compulsory thing to do. You don't have an option to go in a crowded grocery store. You feel a little afraid, you are scared. So the permanent push is not what the numbers tell you right now. It's not permanent, it's temporary. But over the years, I think the behavior of touching, feeling and experiencing the product is definitely changing. In fact, people have given up on test drives of the cars. They are seeing 360-degree demo on websites because time kiske paas hai. So these value propositions change as the realities of our life change. But again, there will always be two extreme opposite cases that marketers in India will have to deal with. Do we have time, Monica ma'am?
I would like to add some point here.
Yes, sure. So
behavioral economics is going to play a very, very important role.
Yes, definitely.
It's going to be an online-offline combination, but at the same time, understanding the human psychology is going to play a very, very important role.
Definitely.
People usually, what happens is they feel if a Levi's is selling, I would also go online and sell. But then they don't realize the power of after-sales service is going to matter a lot. Because once you start selling online, the service which is required is going to play a very, very important role. And that's where most of the brands have a problem.
Yeah.
What I also feel, you just can't be dependent on Amazon and a Flipkart. Because once you start dependent on one particular brand for your business, you will get wiped out. And these are most of the brands who make the mistakes, who feel that Amazon and Flipkart, because it's like this, that you're only catering to one customer, that is Amazon and Flipkart. So if tomorrow Amazon and Flipkart will have a problem, your business will come down. That happened with Zomato and the Swiggies of the world. So you need to understand, you need to have channels, but at the same, it's a mix of things. The percentage can vary.
Yeah, I think you are talking more from the supplier side, the people who are supplying to the Flip or selling through Flipkart, Amazon, Swiggy, Zomato, right? The question was more pointed from the consumers' adoption side, but I think everywhere universally, what you said is very true that your behavioral economics is going to play a big role. And I think all three of us, through different ways, have been focusing on consumer psychology. So the psychology of consumption, right, is going to play a vital role in understanding how the category and the consumer works. So I don't think we have any more questions. I think I've taken all the questions. I've given my coordinates as well. Yeah.
Ma'am, there is one question from
Yes.
Dr. Anu Naran, and any one of you can address to it. Does pandemic bring more freelancing opportunity in terms of digital marketing consultant, brand consultant, graphic designing, etc.? And how should one equip oneself and market themselves this way? This is probably the last question.
Yeah. See, maybe all three of us can give a closing remark. For me, it definitely does, because more and more companies will be looking at these as newer skills that they don't know. So they are going to outsource this to freelancers because they do not have big agencies to help them. Many companies will have big agencies, but they are no longer in the position to spend so much to give to big agencies. So their budgets are shrinking, and in those scenarios, they are going to depend a lot on freelancers. So definitely, it's going to be on a rise. Yeah. Over to you, Mr. Kashyap.
So I think absolutely. So I think anyway, the opportunities in the freelancing space is increasing. There are a lot of platforms who is getting a lot of traction, and especially in the digital marketing space that is happening, even creative writing, designing. I think this is going to go on, and I think this is just the beginning. Because if you see even the bigger giants like Facebook and Twitters of the world, they
there is a lag from your side, so you can switch off your video and then speak, please.
Also.
Okay, I think for a little while we lost you, but we got the crux of the matter, that it's not only now, it's going to continue for a longer period of time. Thank you. Mr. Bharat, if any closing remarks?
So I think so freelancing has come more into picture now. But the factor is going to be it's more like a herd mentality. So this is what people need to understand, that once you start following the herd, there would be too much of competition and your profitability is going to take a big hit. So even if you're getting into freelancing, you should know where you need to pitch.
Exactly.
Where your strength lies. Don't get into selling of everything. That's what people have a problem. Now everybody's got into the business of selling sanitizers and everything you can think of. So just like everybody starts doing an MBA, everybody starts selling sanitizer. So after a point of time, you start realizing that freelancing is no longer working the way you want to be. So you should decide what you need to do, and based on that, plan and do that accordingly. That's it.
I think if what I gather from both of you is find your niche based on your skills. Also look at new niche which may have got developed thanks to the pandemic. Like, for example, in the coming years, we will need a lot of people to do a CV analysis and help us better articulate the CV points and the resume points to make it more suitable industry-wise, not have a common CV for every job that you are applying. And this is like off the mind I'm talking. There are so many other areas which you can think of. So I think find your edge. That's the response. Over to you, Dr. Vipin. I think I did very well in terms of time.
Thank you very much. I'm very much in time. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Kashyap sir. Thank you, Bharat sir. Now I would request Dr. Monica Suri, ma'am, to please give her closing remarks as well as vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Vipinji. And I was completely lost in discussion because they have brought me into deep introspection, not only as a faculty, but also as a student of marketing. So just to give the closing remarks on each of the eminent speakers who are available here, I think that it will not be wrong if we start saying that this is the rebirth of marketing, the new age of marketing in the new normal, because as Falguni ma'am has already in her presentation shared that, the new fabrication, the new models, how we need to restructure and revamp everything is the need of the hour. I feel that is one thing which I learned from her, specifically from her talk, and specifically those 4 R's that she actually shared with us, like response, reset, review, and renew. So I think we need to understand it both from the marketer's perspective and also from the student's perspective, so that they should learn and unlearn. And in this particular era of new marketing, they need to groom themselves according to the new skill sets and the newly designed prerequisites for the marketing positions in future, because I'm trying to correlate it to the placement also, which is the core theme. So I feel that Kashyap sir also has emphasized a lot on, hybridization, which is actually the need of the hour. And many of us might have seen that when the lockdown was started in the beginning, in the month of April or May, already the virtual market scenario was there. So even if you just open your WhatsApp at 2 or 3 at night, and you might be seeing on Facebook and everywhere, there were live markets, virtual markets, and people were doing virtual salesmanship at that point in time. So I feel that scenario will again last for so long. We never know till when, because till the things will get normalized. And I think we need to actually adapt that kind of virtual selling scenario also, in the marketing scenario also. And he also very well emphasized, which I also feel always, and at Oro we are always emphasizing a lot on core values and behavioral skills. And I'm glad that Kashyap sir brought that also as one of his points, that how to bring that behavioral science, interdisciplinary aspects into marketing. And you will be glad to know that in our consumer behavior, students are not considering these classes as boring, because we are doing a lot of psychometric testing on students, like how you can think as a customer and you be the market first. The class becomes the market and students becomes the customer, because you have to wear the hat of customer first to rethink and revisualize what they are expecting out of this particular scenario. So I think many important aspects Kashyap sir has very well shared, and specifically the mentoring. So mentorship is one which is actually the peak, the peak of the hour, or we can say that placement cells also need to emphasize a lot on mentoring. Not only the internal mentoring by the faculty members, but also a good integration of industry, academia, mentoring. I think that is actually the need of the hour. And I'm so glad that Bharatji also brought many aspects into consideration, but I've seen that his focus was completely on total quality management. I understand, because he's coming from that background, and every aspect of his talk was aligned to quality. And there was one question which was raised by one of the participants, that how to actually build up relationship. I think this is high time. You've already got into their minds, you've already got into their hearts, but I think this is time to touch their souls. And I think Falguni ma'am's videos, which she presented as the last part of her presentation, that was the eye-opening for us, because right now we can't meet them. And the only way is through advertisement, impactful advertisement and impactful content that can bring difference to them, and that can bring conversions to us also as a marketer. So largely it was a great interaction, and I'm so thankful to all of you. I know your preoccupancy and taking your time from your teams at this point in time when they need you the most, and you are here with us. It's a great honor to us. And specifically Falguni ma'am, being a chair, I think you have very well facilitated the whole session and on time. That is the biggest challenge with the chairs when they actually moderate any session. And I'm equally thankful to Kashyap sir, because Kashyap ji, I don't consider him as guest, because he's the host and he's very much the part of Oro family, because he's being engaged and involved in incubation cell of Oro University and keep on guiding. And I consider him as the advisory board member only, because he keep on guiding us on the curriculum and how to promote entrepreneurship and startup, for Oro students. So he has already made a great value addition, and we expect more in future when we are coming up to the hybridization of higher education also. So I'm sure his services and advice and guidance will be there throughout. And once again, I am so thankful to Dr. Vipin and Dr. Krupa for coordinating this particular session. And my special thanks to all the participants. And the best beauty of the session was, I saw the number in the beginning as 70 and it is still 70. And that's the beauty of the session, that no one actually left the session. It was so fascinating and interesting. And ma'am, we are looking forward, sir, we are looking forward for more collaborations in future. And surely the integration of industry and academia is the need of the hour, which is well placed in higher education new policy also. So looking forward for more deliberations on the same topics and more fascinating topics and more relevant to this particular new normal. So with this, I once again thank you all for your presence on behalf of my School of Business team. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Pleasure
you.
connecting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye
Bye,
bye.
everybody. Stay
Thank
safe.
you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.